In September of 2021, I posted my first video on my English channel. Almost a year ago, I started a channel on my mother tongue, Tamil. Uploading on these channels has been an enjoyable experience for me, with the most recent addition being Twins of Pine, featuring my twin brother in some videos. In this video, I am honored to introduce the featuring of former India player and renowned broadcaster Deep Dasgupta. Having watched Deep interviewing players on TV since our school days, my brother and I are humbled to host him on this channel. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to My Opinion. And for the first time, we have got a third guest on the show. This has been something that myself and my twin brother and Deepsa as well, we've been working behind the scenes to get this done. And I'm very happy to welcome Deep Dasgupta on this channel. Hello, sir. How are you doing? It's an honor to have you.
Very good. Pleasure's mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
It's
you
lovely to have you on our show, Deep Sir. We've been planning it for so long and glad it's finally happening. And yeah, how have you been? You must have been a busy past few months for you. A lot of cricket.
Yes, it has been actually. And I wouldn't say busy. To be fair, I think I'm a workaholic, so I love working. And I think as far as media is concerned, or my work with the media, it's you can't complain, can you? You watching cricket, you traveling, best of venues, you with top guys sitting there talking about the game. So yeah, yes, even though it was kind of busy, but enjoyed every bit of it, especially the England India series. It was wonderful. It was brilliant. But then yeah, last month or so, been quite easy actually.
Thank you. When you said you were a workaholic, what kind of as a commentator, as a broadcaster, what kind of a schedule can you expect as a sort of a regular schedule?
So I guess, if you want to be and if you can, cricket now does not have seasons, right? It's 12 months. It just goes around with so much of franchise cricket around as well. Um, so yeah, so if you want, you can be kind of busy, like kind of non-stop for 12 months a year. But then every now and then you need to kind of take a step back and take a break because also what happens is you don't want to get at times you can get a little monotonous because you're doing the same thing over and over again. So a break like this every now and then is really good. But yeah, in terms of a schedule, depends. What you're doing. Are you doing franchise cricket? You're doing international cricket? But there is like I said, there's a lot of cricket happening all around the world. But for me, someone like me, generally this period is kind of easy. So spend some time with family, and then the Indian season, home season starts September, end of September, and then it's kind of busy all the way through till IPL, which is end of May, first week of June. And then the England home season, depending what I'm doing. For example, this time India was touring England, so it was kind of busy. Otherwise, it's kind of relaxing the English summer.
Thank you. And this is another question about commentary. I've had one experience of commentary where in the Tier 2 ECD women's competition, it was Kent versus Leicestershire. And I went there and that was my first commentary stint. And something else I've heard as well is that as you rise through the levels and you're wearing the headset, you can also be fed through what to say at particular times as well. And I heard that on the Sky Sports channel. How do
Mm.
you have you experienced this where as you're talking, sometimes it is also a case where you have to fit certain things in as per when you are told to say them?
Not really. So you're not fed. I don't think fed is the right word. What happens is always there'll be somebody in your ear. The director would be there, the producer would be there. So what they do is they let you know what's coming up if there's a replay coming up, or you have something called the lazy button. You can interact with the producer, director, or the EVS we call them, or the Hawkeye or something. Where if you want a certain package, if you want to know something, a graphics or something, it's always there. So it's a two-way thing. So if you're trying to make a point and you think there is a graphic or there is a pitch map or something that you want that can kind of help you to elaborate your point. So you can ask for it. So being fed, I don't think is the right word to use. It's a communication. It's a two-way communication. So while we are talking, you always have the producer, the director in your ear, and you've got to, because end of the day, it's an audio visual medium, television commentary, right? So you've got to connect with the pictures. You can't be going on a tangent and the pictures are different on it, and you on a different tangent. So you got to sync that. So it always helps to keep listening to the director in terms of what pictures are coming. And if you want a certain picture, you want to make a point about something that's happening on the field, you can always ask for that from the director and ask the director to give you a certain angle or show some pictures. So yeah, so there is always someone talking in a ear, and predominantly it's the director, and it's very important to keep listening to the director while you're speaking yourself as well. So yeah, so I think yeah, so you've got to, I mean, that happens with practice. Initially, it is like, okay, you can't do both, right? You either listening or you're talking. But over a period of time, you learn to listen and talk at the same time, and be aware, back of your mind, you're aware of what the director is saying, what the producer or anyone else on air is saying, while you're trying to make your point.
Thank you. And final question for me before I move on to Aditya, where when you say two ways, so do you respond to the director or ask for images, let's say, when you're not on the mic as a co-commentator, if the
Mhm.
co-commentator is saying something, do you verbally signal it to them, or how would you ask
So there
them
is a
to
button. So there is a button called lazy button,
okay.
where you can speak to the director, producer, and you're not, and whatever you're saying will not go on air. So you press the lazy button and you talk to the director, I mean, directly. And if there's certain things that you want, or the producer for that matter, you can ask for it, or you know, the stats guy or something like that. So once you press the lazy button, you can still use the same mic, but whatever you're saying is not going on air. So you got to be careful that you've pressed the lazy button and saying whatever you're saying. So there's a lot of banter as well. It's not just usual stuff. There's always banter depending upon your relationship with the director and all of that. So yeah, so that's what happens. So you press the lazy while your co-coms are on air. They're making a point. You want to ask for something. You press the lazy button and say whatever you have to the director producer. Yeah.
Thank you. Aditya, if you have any questions.
Um, one question I had was when I think about commentary, I've said this, talked about this with others as well.
Mhm.
It's not just talking about a match on the screen. There's probably much more preparation that goes on behind the
Mhm.
scenes because there's a lot
Mhm.
more to it. You have to sort of predict or just note down certain points that you would want to talk about.
Mhm.
Maybe if they came up and you have to uh, bring them up on the spot. And it's about how you say it as well. And you have to make sure that you know the people is for the people viewers watching on TV. It has to be fun for them as well. So,
Mhm.
how would you prepare for a typical day in commentary?
So obviously about generally, if you follow cricket through the year, you would know most of the players.
Yeah,
But then you've also got to keep track in terms of homework, in terms of the players, their background, uh, I mean, their form, how they've been playing. If you've made notes in the past in terms of there's certain players, they play a certain way, you look at the matchups, then obviously you part of the team. So got one thing got to be, I mean, that I want to put it out there. It's not, I mean, comms are not on their own. It's a big team, which includes obviously the cameraman, producer, director, floor, and everyone else. It also includes uh, the stat person. And the stat person before a game gives you a docket, gives you a sheet of paper. You read that, you kind of go through all of that, then you pick up points that you want to make and you think are more relevant. Um, then if it's not there, you ask them and you prepare basically like that. For example, let's say if it's England, India, you would pick up matchups. You think you want to pick up something on certain player. For example, in the first test match, you saw Shubman Gill. There's a change in his technique. So you kind of go to the producer, director, EVS, or whoever, and say, I think he's made these changes in his technique. Can you show me whatever? Can you prepare a package, and then next game you can use it while you're on air? So things like that. So you've got to prepare those things, matchups and all. And everyone, in fact, has a different way as far as comms are concerned, different way of looking at the game. Not just comms, in general as well. Some look at it from a player point of view, and depending on what they used to do, as in if you were a bowler in your career, then you would look at the game from a bowling point of view. If you've been a batter, you look at it from a batting point of view. There's some people who look at it from a coaching point of view, some from a very analytical point of view, someone from captain's point of view. So everyone looks at the game a little differently. So that's the reason you find mm, uh, comms, when you're listening to comms, whatever medium or wherever channel or whatever you're listening from, you'd see different points of views, right?
Mm.
And they come from because everyone's looking at the game from different angles.
Yeah, and I can imagine that's because you have past players doing commentary, and they might have
Yeah.
been captains, they might have been opening.
Yes. So everyone looks at differently. I mean, like you said, ex-captains or people who are currently coaching as well, they might be looking at it from a coaching point of view. Somebody from a very, very bowler's point of view or batting. So you have different point of views coming through, and everyone, they've got their strengths, and that's the reason, that's the beauty of commentary. Even though you have five, six, seven people in the panel, but everyone brings different things to the table.
Thank you. And if those are the questions for now, then it would be let's now go on to the Asia Cup, where the
Yeah,
first match, India's first match, is taking place. So, what did you
yeah.
think about it? It was first off, I was confused that they chose to bowl first, that many people were. But
Yeah,
what were both of your thoughts on the match?
Uh, I think bowling first, if I guess that's what India wanted to do, if Surya wanted to do, irrespective, maybe that's how. So every team would have their own way of looking at their best combination or what they're good at, whether that's batting first or chasing. But in T20 cricket, more often than not, you want to chase. I mean, very rare. And
As
I'm saying, yeah, so very rarely in T20 cricket, you would want to kind of bat first unless it's a day game and you think the pitch will kind of, and especially in the subcontinent, makes a huge difference because of the dew factor. Uh, so not surprised at all that India wanted to chase. That's one. Secondly, the playing 11 was quite interesting. I thought, yeah, I thought India played and could have gone with another bowler
yes,
or an all-rounder. I thought India went in with six bowling options, which included three all-rounders.
I think it was Hardik,
So
Shivam Dubey, and then it was Akshay
Aksar,
Patel. Those are the, yeah.
yeah.
Akshay,
So we're talking about three all-rounders. So I don't know whether. So I think Arshdeep was
He was
I mean
omitted for the
wasn't
previous one. Yes.
100%, wasn't 100%. So maybe that's the reason Arshdeep didn't play. The other thing was. I don't know. It'll be quite interesting what combination India would have in the next game. Uh, because I thought India went in with one less bowler. Um,
yeah,
so that's how I look at it. But I don't know if Arshdeep was available, would Arshdeep would have played if he had played in whose place? Would have been one of the bowlers or would have been one of the all-rounders? All-rounders in the sense Shivam, maybe in place of Shivam. So I don't know. That's something that we'll have to wait and see. I mean, how the team looks at. But one thing which is quite certain that this team management and especially Gotham, what I've noticed across formats, he likes to play an extra batter.
Yeah. Yes.
Even during the test
He
matches,
picked
you would
Karuna in the last
remember,
season. Yeah.
yes, so you would remember wanted batting till number eight,
yeah,
right? Which I do understand. And I've had quite a few long chats with him on the same lines. And Yeah, and I understand where he's coming from, and I keep saying this. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything, but it's important to understand and listen to the other point of view as well. Whether you agree, disagree, that's a different thing. And yeah, and these are all people who've played a lot of cricket, who've spent a lot of time in this field, so they would have a point of view surely. And so yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see the kind of team that India plays in the next game.
Aditya, what were your views on this match and how India went about things?
This match, I'm with Deep Sir here. The fact that I'm not surprised that India chose to bowl first because I think all they believed that they just wanted to. They were focusing on. They might have been focusing on the bigger games in the tournament as well, where the bowling first is more important. They would want a score that they can chase easily and to work on. And I agree with Deep Sir. With also, he said that they went in with a very interesting combination where, apart from Jasprit Bumrah, Hardik Pandya and Shivam Dube were your two bowlers, and I think that they were a bowler short. It would be interesting to see how Shivam Dube fits into the team from the next match onwards, because I think Hardik Pandya, throughout this tournament, it would be very risky to play Hardik Pandya as your main bowler, lead bowler, along with Jasprit Bumrah, and you need another pacer in there, whether it be Ashdeep Singh or Harshit Rana. What's your opinion on that, Deep
The
Sir?
thing is, and first I was starting off with the bowling first. Now, as you said, I wouldn't be surprised if India chose to bowl first in the next few matches, because even in the Champions Trophy, what their plan was they bowled first, the opposition scored around that 250, 260 at a maximum. And then they chased it down. And I wouldn't be surprised, given how much they back their spinners. You've got teams with slightly fragile batting lineups. I think they would just want to get the job done the first innings. But the reason why I think they should have batted first in this case is because, and this is where the playing 11 comes in. Now, when introducing Shubman Gill, who I think they're looking to be the all-format captain at some stage, if you're opening with him, then you've got Sanju Samson and Tilak Verma, who Tilak Verma, I think, is best positions at number 3. Samson, the best position being the top 4. Now, Suryakumar bats at number 4. So you've got Sanju Samson, who against South Africa and against Bangladesh in those two series as an opener, he scored 3 centuries. Then Tilak Verma, I think he scored 3 T20 centuries in a row, 2 against South Africa, then the one domestically. So only one of those can play at number 3. And we saw when playing for Mumbai, Tilak Verma, if they're going to play Tilak Verma or Samson at 5, Samson, I've not seen him bat at 5 thus far. Tilak Verma, when they did play him lower down the order, he didn't do as well as when he was playing in position. So what I would have done is, if you're going to play Samson at 5, play at 20 overs. And if Samson, let's say, has to ban the last 5 overs against an attack which is fairly inexperienced, you can see what he has to offer. Because now, the first time, let's say, Samson plays against a better side, walks out when there are 5 overs left, if he has 2 or 3 failures, he shouldn't be branded as having failed in that position because he's batting out of position. The backup they've selected for him is Jitesh Sharma, someone who'd bat at 5 or 6, which is why I was confused how the team combination is going to work out. If Sanju Samson, I think they will back him at 5. They've given a lot of talks about how they back him. If he does well at 5, I think it would bode well. But if he doesn't, then someone who they've given this much of a backing to when he scored runs and playing in position would unfortunately be left by the wayside. And secondly, on the all-rounder topic, where I think, especially against the better teams looking to the T20 World Cup, they are backing their spinners. And the reason why, in my preview, I thought they would leave with the batting at number 7, then you've got the 4 bowlers. But since they've got this many spinners and you've got Hardik Pandya, they may have thought, how many overs is the other fast bowler going to bowl? I may as well get in another batsman. And when Hardik Pandya goes for runs, as he did in the first over in this match, and let's say if you're playing in a venue like Delhi, where the spinners, since it's been relayed, the spinners haven't had as much effectiveness, I wonder how, when you have to vote Bumrah for 2 overs in the power play, at least one on the power play, how they would go about picking wickets or at least containing the runs when, if let's say the spinners aren't that effective on the day, depending on the surface. So that's why I was purely from a testing point of view, where I think if they bat first and see the options they have to work with, and then you can go forward based on
Well, I mean, listen, fair enough. I mean, this is how I see it. There is no wrong or right way of this, right? It's a choice or it's a trade-off that you have. I mean, you go in with an extra, so your number eight, what are you expecting from your number eight?
Arshdeep, probably, I reckon.
Yeah, or Kuldeep as well. Kuldeep,
Yeah, yeah.
Arshdeep, one of them. What are you expecting? And so there are a couple of things. So the trade-off is you get in an extra bowler, maybe you save a few runs, but then are you happy giving those extra runs and getting a batter who will score those extra runs? So it's a trade-off, right? It boils down to the philosophy of the team. For example, if you remember England, when England was so successful in white ball cricket, they would bat really deep,
Yeah.
right? And they would have quite a few all-rounders. Not that they don't have now, they still have it, but the quality might be a little different from what the English team was back in 2019 and 17 and 19 during that period. So it's a trade-off. So there is no right or wrong. So it is again the philosophy of the team, what they want to do, as long as they're consistent. If India wants to be, going with a batting heavy side, which they did through the test series, which worked well for India, I thought it's fine. But I, for one, always look at it differently. The other important thing of having a batter at number eight. So last game you would have had Akshar at number eight, who has done so well with the bat over the years, last few years, whether it's franchise cricket or otherwise. What it does is it gives kind of a little more insurance to the top order batter to go out there and bat more freely. So there's a difference if you're batting in the top five. How you bat would kind of depend a little bit on who you have at number eight. So if you have someone like, let's say, an Akshar at number eight, you're like, you know what, we've got Akshar at eight, let's just go. Or if it's someone else who's more of a bowler who can bat at number eight, uh, let's say an Arshdeep or a Kuldeep, then if you're at batting at number four, five, you're thinking, hmm, I've maybe, I've got to be a little careful, especially if you lose a couple of quick wickets. So the attitude of the top order batter changes depending on the batting depth you have. So I don't know. I mean, how much of that is what's the reason be? I mean, if that's the reason behind this playing 11, I'm not too sure. We'll figure that out because again, this is. I mean, India's playing T20 after a long time. You have again Gotham and Surya. They need to figure that out between themselves. What's the philosophy of the T20 side and all of that? So we'll wait and see how it goes. But like I said, there is no right or wrong way to look at it. It's just the philosophy of the side.
Aditya, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with the deep side. I think the person who's batting at number eight is very important because if you have someone like a Akshay Patel batting at number eight, he gives you the bowling option and he's a good enough batsman to get you those runs at the end. So the top five will go harder. But bowling's also important. It's also important to have your main fast bowlers along with Bumrah to have that sort of cushion, so that if in case things go wrong, because I believe Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarti, they're gonna play throughout the tournament, especially for Varun Chakravarti. The way he's bowling right now, I think he's one of the key bowler in the middle overs to the side. He's the one that he's gonna save you the runs as well as pick up those key
Mhm.
wickets. And bowling wise, if you've got Bumrah as well as someone like Ashdeep Singh who can open up the bowling with Bumrah, he can move the ball well as well. Then you you also need then Hardik Pandya can maybe come in and fill up 1, 2 or 3 overs, and then you have someone like a Shivam Dubey if he's in the team to help you out. So I think
Mhm.
uh, it's important to have the bowling sorted as well as a top six, a solid top six, number six being a potential all rounder who can give you both.
So let me also just add a little bit to this. So when you're saying you need three seamers, more often than not, the reason of having three seamers is you want uh, three bowlers who can bowl in the first six and the last four.
Yeah,
Correct. So if you have a spinner who can do that, and then you don't need three seamers. Bottom line is you
Yeah,
need three bowlers to
you
bowl in
can
the
hold
top
on to
six and
it.
last four, all right? So those 10 overs, you need three bowlers to fill those 10 overs. Now, if you look at, I'm talking from a spinner's point of view now. So generally what happens is people look at, oh, we're looking at three seamers to do that job. More often than not, teams would be looking at three seamers to do that job. But then you have Varun who bowls really well in the
Oh,
in the first six.
Kuldeep
Aksar
can,
can bowl.
Axel can, yeah.
Aksar bowls in the first six. We've had Varun and Kuldeep bowl not in the last 2 3 overs, but we've seen them bowl the 17th over, right? So 18, 19, 20th is what you're looking at. So that also gives you the luxury of playing, let's say, one out and out seamer in Jasprit and then all rounder in Hardik and play three spinners, right?
Yeah.
So you're not kind of push kind of to play three seamers that way because you have Aksar and Varun to bowl in the first six. Kuldeep very rarely bowls in the first six, but then Varun can bowl the 17th over. So, technically you've got 7 overs kind of between the two seam bowlers that you want to bowl, maybe seven max or 6 to 7 overs out of those 10. The spinners can come in and bowl 4 out of those 10 overs, and especially if it's in the subcontinent. So that's the other advantage that India has, that India's got spinners who can bowl those difficult overs.
Yes. I agree that the spinners can bowl in all field. I think if Akshay for Delhi Capitals has been bowling at least 2 overs in the power play in this point in time. Sometimes even ahead of the second seamer, he was
Yeah.
bowling after the first seamer bowled. And Varun
Mm.
Chakravarti is bowling the power play at times as well. And he can bowl the 17th over, as you said. Pradeep
Yeah.
Garg can also bowl the 17th over. The reason why I was saying extra seamers because not that the spinners can't do that job, is that I feel Bumrah's overs are high impact overs. And the reason why I'm very happy that India won the T20 World Cup, but what
Mm.
they locked themselves into was the reason why I thought it went that close at the end is because in the first leg, Siraj was playing, therefore Bumrah didn't have to bowl many in the power play. The moment you felt like you needed a high impact over, Bumrah's 4 overs could be used sporadically.
Mm.
Now, in this case, and we saw in the Champions Trophy as well, in the
Mm.
semi-final against Australia, Smith and Carey were going well. Then when Steve Smith was dismissed off Mohammad Shami, then we saw they lost a few wickets. Bangladesh was 35 for 5. The spinners
Mm.
kept on bowling, yet they got to, I think, 228 after that. And New Zealand also, the theme is whenever India needed it, there was a crucial juncture where they needed that wicket. The spinners got that wicket. I'm not saying no. But
Mm.
it wasn't the case where, even despite getting a few wickets, they had to play the waiting game to some extent because I thought
Mm.
they overloaded a lot of spinners for Dubai, at least in the Asia Cup, where I thought, sorry, in the Champions Trophy, where I thought that many spinners weren't needed. In a similar way, if India play in Delhi and you've got very good spinners, but since the track has been relayed, if a Josh Inglis, let's say, starts scoring at a 200 odd
Mm.
strike rate, and if you've not got the high impact throws of Bumrah, where Bumrah bowls none for 14 and 2 at the start in the power play, it may look good, but has he made an impact on the match? I wouldn't say so, because you'd expect people to play out the 2 overs of Bumrah at the start. The way Bumrah can be used as a high impact bowler is where let's say you've got 2 overs going for runs from high-class bowlers. Bumrah bowls, let's say, a 5-run over, and then that can minimize the damage. And as you accumulate that, you can bowl, let's say, a none for 28, none for 30, and therefore, even if on one end, if Hardik Pandya goes for runs, pretend, then you've got a case where you've not got that much damage that has happened. And the second thing being, we saw Shivam Dubey when he was batting at 7 for CSK. I don't. It's a case where he's a spin hitter, yes, but I feel he's much better off batting at 4, maybe 5, depending on the situation, than batting at 7. And I feel if you are going to play an all-rounder, if that is what they're going to do, then you may as well, unless Shivam Dubey is going to provide that consistent impact with the ball, then you may as well look for other options, even in that all-rounder slot. And on your point, the reason why I think the batting into number 8, they may be thinking it is because he said they'll have extra assurance. In my view, even if they had batting until number 7, I don't think with the way the batsmen play now, you've got Abhishek Sharma. No matter how many batsmen are behind him, is he going to play defensively? I don't think so. Suryakumar Yadav can play double gears, but he would prefer on a good batting surface. You'll get a lot of those in India and the T20 World Cup. He prefer to be explosive. Tilak Barna, with the confidence he's got, would prefer to be explosive. Sanju Samson would prefer to be explosive. So that is why I think they want that extra batting depth. It's just that. Is Shivam Dubey going to win you a match at number 7 or 8 with a bat based on what we have seen thus far? I don't know. As long as Bumrah isn't locked into bowling in a phase where he creates an impact on paper but not in actuality, then I'm fine. If the spinners can do that job, they do that job, then all well and good. I just feel that no matter how well anyone else does, Bumrah is still the most impactful bowler in the world. And in order to unlock him to create that impact, I feel he should be used in a phase where the batsman would not play him out as to take him for granted, let's say, the first 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Adarsh, you were a stats guy, right? Just check Hardik's numbers ever since he's come back from an injury. We'll have a chat after that.
You mean bowling?
Yes.
He's got no runs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you check his numbers and tell me.
Yeah,
He's such an underrated bowler,
yeah.
and I mean that's your whole debate about your whole argument about Bumrah. I completely agree. I mean, then Bumrah is your trump card. You use it when you want to. So you're not forced to use in a certain way. So you have those options. You need, you've got that elbow room to use him whenever. But then Hardik, okay, let's say 6 overs, right? Hardik does a good job. He gets the ball to swing. You've got spinners. You will definitely bowl Bumrah the fifth or the sixth over, let's say sixth over, depending on the fifth over, depending on whether the opposition's got a good start or not. And then you still have 3 overs left of him, right?
Yeah.
So while I do understand where you're coming from, and maybe ideally as well, if you ask me, I might, I mean, I'd rather have Jasprit along with Arshdeep slash Harshit along with Hardik. But I think because Hardik, I think he's done really well with the ball ever since he's come back from injury, and also the couple of spinners that I mentioned. It just gives you a little bit more elbow room to work around with spin or pace, whatever you want. So now, for example, if it's if it's not a spin friendly, see the other important thing is when you're talking about those 3 spinners, 2 of them they don't need the pitch. Kuldeep and Varun, they don't need the pitch, right? Aksar needs a little bit of help, you know. So being a finger spinner, but Varun and Kuldeep, I don't think they need. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether you're playing in
Take more
Australia or
innings.
India, right?
Yeah.
So they'll still do what they do. Yes, if you give them a little bit of help, they'll run through a side, right? Or if the side's not good enough, they'll run through. So I think, yeah, while I'm not gonna say again, like I said, there's no right or wrong. It's just that how the team wants to see it. But you definitely do need batting at 8 in T20 cricket for sure, because that makes a huge difference in how the top order play. So on one hand, the problem is this because we I mean our memories are really short. I mean most of us, right? We forget what somebody's done in the last series or something, and we say, oh, two two innings, you haven't got runs, you're like, oh, he's not in form. Right? But then we've got to understand T20 cricket, it's a high risk, high reward format. Right? And if you want people to play so-called fearless cricket that we keep talking about, you've got to give them a longer rope. If you want them to take those risks and play fearlessly, you can't be on their back all the time saying, oh, played a rubbish shot, played a bad shot, and shouldn't have, and all of that. You can't because that's the nature of the beast. That's how T20 format is. You've got to play fearless. As long as, yes, with experience, with maturity, there is a you know, fine line between being reckless and being fearless. I mean, that is something which would come with maturity and experience, where you're fearless, but making sure you're not reckless. And that's something, and that fearlessness, to a great extent, comes knowing the fact that you can take those extra risks. You mentioned about having two gears, which I would like to believe all of them would have, because all of them, if even if someone like Abhishek is not playing test match cricket, but he plays first class cricket. So he plays red ball cricket. It's not that he doesn't. So you have all of them who play first class cricket. So they would have that, different gears. But then it'll only help. And I think that's where Rohit has made a huge difference in the last few years, even though he's retired now. I think as a skipper, what he's done post 2021, the fearlessness that we talk about, I think it's been, I mean, India would play very safe cricket in this format till 21. But post 21, with Rohit at the helm and the way he batted as a captain, as an opener, I think that set the tone for how uh, Indian teams been playing T20 cricket post that.
Thank you. And I'll get your inputs first, and then I'll go on to the statement, which I think is the big question, which is what I referred to before. Adya, what do you think?
Yeah, so I agree with what Deepsa just said there. I think T20 is a format where you have to keep innovating and you have to keep changing your adapting to a situation. You can't get settled, and I think that aggressive mindset is very, very important for this format especially. And we've seen Rohit Sharma what he can do. He just he when he decides that I'm gonna go at the top of the order. My job is to give the team a good start, and it's all about showing the trust in the batsman to come. Number 3, 4, 5, the middle order, all the way until number 8. Just trusting that even if you give the team a good start and you get out early, there's batting to come. So I feel like that's why Deep Sir was right going with
Yeah.
batting depth.
So let me just add another thing. In this format, I believe apart from the openers, you don't have a
Mm,
particular position for a batter.
Yeah.
So,
Voting.
you would, so like Shivam at 7, I don't think Shivam would bat at 7.
mm,
And the best bit about the Indian T20 setup right now, in fact, not just T20, even Test match cricket, you have the luxury of having a left-hand, right-hander right through the innings. And that might not be that important in the longer version, let's say Test match cricket, but in terms of T20 cricket, that is massive. Having a, a left-hander and a right-hander at the crease all the time. So I would like to. That's the reason I say it's Sky and Tilak,
mm,
depending on
Yeah, they're
left-right
interchangeable spin
combination.
doubles.
Yeah. So same with, let's say, Hardik and Shivam, interchangeable. Maybe for that matter. So that's where I don't know. I mean, so that's also the luxury that India has. That has enough left-handers and right-handers in the top 8, so they can actually have that left-right combination right through.
And what my and this is where what I said before during the Champions Trophy. In the power play, India were chasing the game. Apart from against Bangladesh, whoever they played against, they were chasing the game for at least about a 15 over span of time. Even against Bangladesh, after 35 for 5, they let them get to 228. What I'm saying is, and I'm mentioning this one ground for the sake of it. I'm saying generally if it is like this, but you play in Delhi, you've got Hardik Pandya bowling 2 overs, Akshar Patel bowling 2 overs, Bumrah at the end, he doesn't pick up a wicket, then you've got someone else. You're defending 190. Have you got the start that you want as a bowling side to get yourself to
But
defend them?
Adarsh, that's where the uh, the philosophy that we were talking about that comes in, right? Whether you are a batting heavy side where you're happy to chase down, maybe 10, 15 runs extra, or you're a bowling heavy side where you rather chase 160 than 180. Which you would any which way, but whatever you're more comfortable with. So that boils down to philosophy. So what you're saying again, it's not right or wrong, it's basically philosophy. So you being a bowler yourself, you're coming from, again, that's how you remember we were talking about the commentary bit.
Yeah.
So you are looking at the game from a bowler's point of
Yes.
view, right? So a batter would say otherwise, right? Batter would say, "Ah, it doesn't matter, an extra batter and we go chase down 200." So that's exactly what I was trying to say before as well. It boils down to how you look at the game,
Thank
right?
you. And okay, you can.
And yeah, so that's how it is, yeah.
Thank you. And there are two points, and I may be hopping on the same thing. However, now you said extra assurance at number 8 and rep. Pretend if India now with a way now Shubman Gill just comes to the fold now. Now before Shubman Gill, where especially when Samson and Abhishek Sharma are opening, it could either be a 40 without loss or it could be the 15 for 2. Pretend
It,
if
it's it's not that. Okay, others. Last three, four innings, Sanju opening the side. How did he get out?
the short ball technique, I think that the 5 against England, they bowled it in the same place and they put a field.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm saying
I'll
he
leave
would
it at
also
that.
look to
I'll
attack.
leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Listen, please understand in T20 cricket, there are you go to those websites, you will see strike rates and averages. They mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It boils down to against whom, right? I know enough players who and yeah, so that's where you've got to look beyond numbers. And I believe a lot of us, we make the mistake of just looking at numbers and kind of not being a little more active in trying to dig deeper into those numbers and understand that's where watching game makes a huge difference rather than just looking at numbers, right? So for example, and this is again, I'll give you an example of Ashish Nehra. So Ashu, I just love the way he looks at the game, and he's got a superb memory, right? So somebody's gone for 40 in 4 overs. He's like, oh, it doesn't really matter because out of those 40 runs, four were off outside edges.
Yeah.
And then you look back and say, yeah, that's right. So bowling well or batting well not necessarily would translate into you having good numbers,
Yeah.
right? So you've got to be, so that's why I'm saying. So at times you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful how you pick a side based on what? Just based on basic numbers? Well, fair enough. But I wouldn't do that. I would look at for example, selection, how I see T20 cricket is, and especially Indian selection, because you've got so many good players, right? And I did a video a while ago and I said the same thing. I was like, with the Indian T20 setup, you can actually pick three sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
And chances are the third side
The
could beat
win.
the first two
Yeah.
sides, right? So, but end of the day, the job of the selector is so tough because you can only pick 15. So the other 20 guys, 20 plus
Would be
guys,
good enough to play
they
the
had
first time.
exactly. So, so there would always be questions asked. Somebody was asking me about Shreyas Iyer. I was like, fair enough. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the cut, but is he good enough? Yes, he is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for all these 35, 40 guys, you'll find reasons to pick them and reasons not to pick them.
Yeah.
But then you've got to, unfortunately, you can only pick 15, you can pick only 11,
Yeah.
right? So that's where I guess it's important to not to look at numbers and pick based on what do you think. That's where it is very subjective, obviously. That's where it's important to watch games, look beyond the numbers or dig deeper into those numbers. Things like that. What
Okay.
I think.
And this is where, and this is fine. This is fine, man. So,
Yeah.
and what you said about the offensive defensive risk and reward theory
Yeah.
effectively, what I was thinking is, and I've thought this for a long time, if Abhishek Sharma showcases, you said I believe he has a second gear. I think he has a technique to play Test cricket. If you see his first class average, I think it's in the low 30s, but I think he has a technique to play Test
Yeah.
cricket.
Yeah.
But if he showcases that temperament more often than he's doing now, I think he will break the 973 run record in the IPO that Virat Kohli set in the season. I think he will. The thing is, and this is why before I drafted 11 a while back, and my opening combination from the IPL it was Jay Swal, KL Rahul, and Tilak Verma number three. Because I thought you've got one player who KL Rahul wouldn't bat slowly. Jay Swal can also bat explosively, be more consistent than Abhishek Sharma. He can also go at that tempo, and Tilak Verma being number three is what I thought. Now, I'm not saying Abhishek Sharma being in the side because I think he's a fantastic talent. If he showcases that temperament, I think he'd be the best in the world. However, if you're also comparing that to playing number eight, I don't think this team will change their approach, whether they've got batting until seven or batting until eight. So in that case, let's say if a wicket falls, if you're 15 for two, would you be thinking, right, I got Sharon Dubia number eight to rescue me? Because I don't think, but I'm not
No,
questioning his strategy.
no,
We
no, no,
haven't
no,
seen
no,
that
no, no,
happen.
no, no. Others, that rescuing mindset is not there with this generation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're thinking that number three, if let's say any team for that matter, is 10 for 2 in the first 2 overs, you think they'll be thinking about rescuing or playing it safe? No. So what they will do is they'll play percentage cricket. They'll still look to play their shots, but then they might not go overboard or they might not take extra risk, but they're still going to play T20 cricket. So those days are gone when you lose 3 wickets and you shut shop for a while and then try and recover. So there is no recovery in T20 cricket
yeah.
anymore. That's not how this format is played nowadays
Yeah.
by the
Example,
successful sides. Yeah.
sorry, an example before I get back, the example was in, I think, the 2022 T20 World Cup against South Africa, where
Yeah.
Florian Valley wickets scored. Surukumar they've still scored, I think, close to
Yeah.
9.5 and over, and he took them there. So
Yeah.
that's on you.
Exactly so. So it's, and then what happens in T20 cricket, and this is from a coach's point of view, is you don't then look at you look at the strengths of a player and say, okay, if you're good against spin and you good playing, these 3 shots, even if you get out, or even if it's 10 for 2, you're going to still play those shots, right? And if you get out playing those shots, that's fine. For example, I'm very good over extra cover or straight down the ground. If I get out playing that shot, it's fine, right? But then I've never played or don't practice, let's say, reverse lap, and I get out playing reverse lap, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So every individual, and what we tend to do is we look at cricket from maybe at times how we've played the game or how we see it. So we've got to keep that aside. Maybe for me, stepping on hitting straight down the ground was a high percentage, but sweep maybe a low percentage. So when we see somebody getting out playing a sweep or a reverse sweep, it's like, oh, that's not a good shot.
Yeah.
But no, maybe for him, that is a good
That's a
shot.
good shot. Yeah.
Maybe going down the ground is not a good shot. So
Mm.
as a coach as well, you've got to encourage this format, or for that matter, most of the formats, that you still go on playing your shots. Even if it's 10 for 2 or if it's 200 for 2, doesn't matter. You play your shot. Try and avoid playing shots which are not your shots. Maybe 200 for 2, yeah, you have the license to go and do that. But so that's what I'm saying. So if you look at the spectrum, the situation would depend how you would bat on that spectrum. So when you say, at number eight gives you a little more of that freedom to play your shots, even if it's 10 for 2. But if you don't have at number 8, again, it's a psychological thing, right? You can still go on and bat the same way, but chances are you will not. You will back of your mind as a batter, you will still think, maybe another over, maybe 2 overs. Let me see 2 overs and then I'll go. But 2 overs is
In
is
T20.
10% in T20 is 10% of the game. And
Yeah.
and most important, you lose momentum.
Yes.
It's not a switch. Very few players would have that switch is, you know what, now this over I'm going to start hitting
Yeah.
Yeah.
sixes. It doesn't
And
happen
also
that way. Yeah.
and also nowadays, since you made that point about how that surviving mindset, the savior mindset is gone, right?
Hmm.
You don't have that luxury to, uh, you know, s- sit there for two overs and just
Yeah.
like nerd of the game, because the other team, they're gonna make up for those runs really easily, maybe
Yeah.
in a few balls.
Yeah. So you still got to play your shots. And now the important bit is you play your shots. You don't play which aren't yours. So that's where I think it's important, like I said, from a coaching point of view as well, to know the players well, understand, and that obviously, I mean, the coaches would know that players is 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 to make sure that you're not too harsh on the players, even if they get out
Mm.
playing shots.
Okay.
Yeah, and that
And
is something that I still don't understand. People do. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
and this is the thing. I feel in my view, I think I'm playing risk reward on the other side, where other people would play with the batting, where you say just go hard and then don't think about whether it fails or not. In my view, if you play the frontline bowlers, you unlock Bumrah. Unlocking Bumrah, in my view, will yield more benefit than Durbi at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
We're going back
It's
to the
simply the
six.
chasing the game. Because I feel T20 World Cups have followed an independent trend to franchise leagues, where you see the IPL, for example, when someone scores 250, that's in the T20 World Cups that we've seen thus far, even in Australia. The moment you got to 180, because of the pressure, I felt that even when watching the game, the scoring, it took an independent trend to watching franchise, to what we see in franchise leagues. So what I'm saying is, in that kind of a case where I don't feel you have to get, but for example, people say you'll be playing on the same surfaces in India. I don't
Others,
think we'll see the same.
hold on. Let's not even compare
Yeah,
franchise cricket with international cricket.
yeah,
Let's not make that mistake, right? As good as franchise cricket is, some of them like IPL is as good as international cricket, but it's not international cricket.
yeah, yeah. You won't
Let's
see
be
250 in the T20 World Cup, is what I'm saying. You see
You
190.
will you will not see in a multi-nation tournament, you will
Yeah,
not see 180s even. Very rarely you'll see 180, and over a period of time, the pitches will get tired, the runs will come down. So on an average, if you look at multi-nation again, I mean you're a numbers guy, check. I think the average score would be at least 15, 20 runs, or
yeah,
maybe not 20, maybe 15 runs less than the top franchise cricket, right? And then again, so this is my issue again when I look at those sites is those sites should have tier one international cricket, then tier one franchise, tier two
right,
franchise. You can't compare, I don't want to name franchises, but you can understand some of the
right,
other franchise cricket with, let's say, the IPL or the Big Bash
yeah,
or SA20 and all of that.
yeah,
They're very, very different. Even I'm talking about IPL, which is for me the best franchise tournament
yeah.
in the world
Yeah.
by far. You still have two international bowlers, maybe three,
I
or
mean,
maybe two
three.
international bowlers, one very good domestic bowler, or three international bowlers, but then you would have two domestic as well,
Yeah,
right?
Mm.
So,
Which, yeah,
yeah, so yeah,
which is why I think, as you said, franchise cricket is mentally a completely different game
yeah, yeah.
to
yeah.
national
Oh, yeah,
cricket.
and especially if you're playing that multi-nation tournament is a World Cup.
Yeah,
Listen, it's a different ball game.
pressure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that statement proves my point, because when you have less runs to play with, why would you want to chase the game? If you leave 6 overs, especially on the slow venue, so in Chennai, for example, one of the blueprints would be you get to, even if you lose two,
Alice,
you
listen,
get to
I'm
55.
again, I mean, listen, we're going round and round the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like I said,
Yeah.
you're not wrong, and I am not saying, but again, you look at the game that
in a
way,
certain way.
in a
Yeah.
certain way, I look at it in a certain way, but also my point is, please understand that there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
End of the day, we are in a what result-oriented industry. As long as you're getting the results, that's fine. And as long as you're consistent, you can't have a batting heavy approach in a certain series or a tournament, and then the very next tournament you completely change your team, or from one game to the other, you can't. So you got to have a certain philosophy because that gives clarity to the team, to all the players, to players who are not there in the 15 as well, who are the fringe players. They also know this is what the captain and the coach or the team management are looking for. This is how I should approach. So I think as long as you're consistent, it's fine. And yeah, it's absolutely fine as long as, again, like I said, chances are you're looking at results more often than not.
Yeah, and I feel in a game, in terms of in a match setting, is very difficult to go in with a particular template every time. Like others is saying, do this, do that, because it's always changing, and it's always the situation is always going to change, and it can't go to. It's not always going to go to plan. So that's why you see
Yeah,
these players.
yeah,
They're just told to play their natural game,
yeah.
whatever happens.
True. And that's where you've got to you and especially this format, because it's so dynamic in nature, you've got to have a very open mind and be a little more flexible as compared to the other formats because every ball's an event, every over's an event, and it's so dynamic. Suddenly it's one over, you lose 2 wickets, or one over goes for 20. The whole nature of the game
Yeah,
changes, right?
yeah,
So then you suddenly have to make changes. For example, you mentioned about Bumrah. So suddenly, let's say the seventh over and the eighth over, they go for, let's say, 35 runs. You'll be forced to get in Bumrah over number nine, even though that wasn't part of the plan. So that's where it becomes a very captain-oriented format because the captain needs to be ahead of the game, especially in this format. So you can't have templates. Yes, you have a basic idea. This is how
yeah.
ideally I want to go about, but then this format is like that, and that's where you've got to have a really, really good captain who is not following the game but is ahead of the game.
Thank you. And I think we probably wrap up for now, unless both of you want to keep going. I've thoroughly enjoyed this discussion. I think this is the most lively post on my channel. I think a lot of the time it's been when I review the IPO auction, let's say I make a graphic and I just keep on saying what I think, and I've longed for this opportunity. I first got out there on the channel, now I've got you, Deep Sir, and very thank you a lot to both of you. And Deep Sir, thank you so much, especially for sparing this much time with us. I didn't expect this video to be this long. So, any final thoughts from
Yeah.
both of you? Thank you to both.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
yeah, go
just
on,
want to
Naveen.
say
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Deep Sir. I always love talking to you about cricket, and it was great to hear all your experiences and you share all your knowledge today on the channel as someone who's played and watched so much cricket. And yeah, I was looking forward to this video for a long time, and now that it's happened, I think it feels great. What about you? How have you enjoyed this video?
Thank you, Adarsh and Aditya. I mean, I obviously did enjoy. Listen, I would like to believe I'm a cricket buff. I enjoy talking about cricket. And I think every day is a school day. You keep learning. And yeah, I mean, and the more you talk, more you speak to different kind of people. They have different point of views, and you learn. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, so it's been quite a good session. Last 45 odd minutes has been really, really
57
nice.
minutes.
Enjoyed it. Yeah, enjoyed it thoroughly. So yeah, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. And
it's been a pleasure, Deep Sir. Hope
yeah,
to have you
Pleasure's
soon.
mine.
now
Pleasure's
the
mine. Thanks.
the outro. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. You share with your friends. Remember, these are our opinions. What's yours?